The events in Europe leading up to 1812 had so great an influence on those which followed later by placing the balance of Europe's destinies into the hands of Russia, that I have felt it would be valuable to preserve the notes which I made regarding various circumstances of those days. In writing them, my sole motive was to keep an account of my life, my impressions, and my conduct. Since then, I have come to regard them as indispensable material for the completion of the official part of my correspondence as ambassador, and even, it may well be, for the history of that great epoch. My aim will be fulfilled if my notes help to formulate opinion on the character and the political views of the Emperor Napoleon. My notes were made everywhere, at my desk and in camp, every day and at all times of day. They are the work of every moment. I have touched up nothing and disguised nothing, because although there were moments when the man showed himself, it was the demigod whom one recognized most often. More than once, the thought occurred to me that this journal, written under the very eyes of the emperor, might fall into his hands. But that reflection did not check my pen. This fact is an answer to those who have claimed that men could neither think nor speak nor write under his reign, and that the truth made him an irreconcilable enemy. No doubt the truth chilled his goodwill, but his strong and lofty character raised him above all criticisms made in good faith. I was confident that as my notes were only the exact record of what I had said to him, they would seem to him injurious only if I published them as an attack on his policy and his fame. If these pages should someday be read and severity imputed to me, I hope that allowance will be made for the happenings under the influence of which they were penned. The emperor was at St. Cloud. By 11 o'clock, I was there. June 15th, 1811. His Majesty received me coldly and at once began heatedly to enumerate his imaginary grievances against the Tsar Alexander, but without reproaching me personally. He spoke of the ukase prohibiting foreign imports and of the admission of neutral and American ships into Russian ports, which, he said, was an infringement of the continental system. He went on to say that the Tsar was treacherous, that he was arming to make war on France. The emperor repeated all the fantastic stories which, to please him, were fabricated in Danzig, in the Duchy of Warsaw, and even in the north of Germany. Stories the accuracy of which had been disproved time and again, sometimes by means of investigations carried out on the spot, sometimes even by the march of events. Admit frankly, said the Emperor Napoleon, that it is Alexander who wants to make war on me. No, sire, I replied once again. I would stake my life on his not firing the first shot or being the first to cross his frontiers. We're agreed then, the emperor went on, because I have no intention of going to Russia, nor any wish for a war or the reestablishment of Poland. Then, sire, you ought to explain your intentions so that everyone may know why your Majesty's troops are concentrated in Danzig and the north of Prussia. The emperor made no answer to this. He spoke of the Russian nobles who, in the event of war, would fear for their palaces, and after a good battle, would force the Tsar Alexander to conclude a peace. Your Majesty is mistaken, I replied, and repeated to the emperor words used by the Tsar, which had greatly impressed me in the course of certain private conversations I had with him after the arrival of Monsieur de l'Ariston. When my position no longer had any political significance, words which were merely a more emphatic expression of what he had led me to understand some time before. They impressed me so much that I noted them down on returning home and quote them here with the certainty that, to the best of my knowledge, my recollection of them was substantially correct. If the Emperor Napoleon makes war on me, the Tsar Alexander said to me, it is possible, even probable, that we shall be defeated, assuming that we fight. But that will not mean that he can dictate a peace. The Spaniards have often been defeated, and they are not beaten, nor have they submitted. But they are not so far away from Paris as we are, and have neither our climate nor our resources to help them. We shall take no risks. We have plenty of room, and our standing army is well organized, which means, as the Emperor Napoleon has admitted, that we need never accept a dictated peace, whatever reverses we may suffer. What is more, in such circumstances, the victor is forced to accept the terms of the vanquished. The Emperor Napoleon made a remark to this effect to Chernichev in Vienna after the Battle of Wagram. He would not have made peace then if Austria had not kept an army intact. Results have to keep pace with his thoughts, because being often absent from France, he is always anxious to return there. This is the teaching of a master. I shall not be the first to draw my sword, but I shall be the last to sheath it. The Spaniards have proved that lack of perseverance has been the undoing of all the states on which your master has made war. The Emperor Napoleon's remark to Chernichev in the latest war with Austria shows clearly enough that the Austrians could have obtained better terms if they had been more persevering. People don't know how to suffer. If the fighting went against me, I should retire to Kamchatka rather than cede provinces and sign in my capital treaties that were really only truces. Your Frenchman is brave, but long privations and a bad climate wear him down and discourage him. Our climate, our winter will fight on our side. With you, marvels only take place where the emperor is in personal attendance. And he cannot be everywhere. He cannot be absent from Paris year after year. The emperor listened to me with the closest attention, even with some astonishment. He appeared to be greatly preoccupied, and I kept silent for a while. I thought I had made a deep impression on him, since his face, his whole bearing, which hitherto had manifested only in extreme severity, became open and friendly. He seemed to wish to encourage me to go on, not only by looks, but by the questions he put. He spoke of society in Russia, of the army, of the administration, and even referred to the Tsar Alexander without manifesting his usual ill humor at the mention of his name. In fact, the emperor gave every indication at this moment of being kindly disposed towards me, and referred appreciatively to the manner in which I had served them. I assured him that he was mistaken about the Tsar Alexander and about Russia, and that it was of the utmost importance not to base his conclusions about that country on what certain persons told him, or about the army on what he had seen at Friedland. That having been threatened for a year, it had been possible for the Russians to take account of all eventualities, particularly to take account of the possibility of our enjoying immediate successes.